Hello, hello. This is Tim Villegas from the Maryland Coalition for Inclusive Education, and I'm doing a test run on some live video. I have no idea if this is going to work or if you're even going to be interested in this, but we're just going to roll with it. All right, so first of all, no one's here, so I'm just going to go through some talking points. First thing I want to let you know about is the Weeklyish is back on our newsletter. So I'm publishing a bi-weekly newsletter called the Weeklyish. It's really just about kind of my thoughts about inclusive education and the field of education. This week, we published, or actually it was yesterday on Monday, we published an article or a post called "Who's Afraid of Douglas Fuchs?" And I'm going to share my screen because this is a test and I just want to see kind of the functionality of some of these things. So let's see if I can do this. We're going to go share screen. And I guess looks like I can share a tab. Let's try this. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is on our website, mcie.org / think inclusive. Who's Afraid of Douglas Fuchs? This is all about an article that was published by the Hampshire Report about a forthcoming article by Douglas Fuchs and some colleagues at Vanderbilt and I believe AIR, and they're just questioning the quality of research surrounding inclusive education. So what we wanted to do was kind of shine a light on that, but also shine a light on the vast amount of research that is available for you to look at that is evidence that inclusive education is valid and it works. And one of the big articles is this Cole article that was published in 2022, the relationship between special education placement and high school outcomes. And I link that in the article. And then also there's this great video by Edutopia that it's at like 1.5 minutes that shares a little bit about this landmark study. So if you are interested in that, make sure you are signed up on our newsletters to receive our newsletters. The Weeklyish comes out on the first Monday and the third Monday of every month. So we tackled this topic this time, and we're deciding what we are going to be doing for in the next couple weeks. It might be talking about the Department of Education. We'll see. All right, I'm going to take a sip of tea and then look back to see if anyone is listening or watching. It doesn't look like it. Which either means I set something up wrong on the live stream, or no one cares right now, which is totally fine because, again, this is just a test. I didn't let anyone know about this, and we're just going to roll with it. Okay. So yeah, the Weeklyish is out bi-weekly. Sign up on our newsletter. Also, all these videos, I believe, will be posted on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Hopefully, it all it ends up there eventually. And then if anyone ends up watching this, I will put a transcript in the comments or in the description to let so that so that can be available. Okay, more sip of tea here. I'm drinking some black tea. All right. Again, I'm not used to going live, so we are just, that's my son texting me. We're just going to roll with it. And the more I do something, the more I'm comfortable with it. So that's what we're doing. Okay. So I'm going to close that out, stop sharing, and then I'm going to go back to my notes here. Okay. So I know no one's here, but I want whoever's listening, we're just going to test this out. Okay. My son is texting me. Sorry. One more time. Just have to check it again. Okay. I want to share this with you, this blob picture, because I really like it. All right. Where's the blobs? Here we go. All right. I sometimes I teach a class. Excuse me. Sometimes I teach a class for educators who, special educators who are getting an alternate certification. And I use this image to do kind of like a warm up reflection. And so I thought it'd be fun for whoever's listening or watching or whoever is going to watch or listen. This is an image of a tree and blobs. I guess we call them blobs of people, blobby people, and each of them have a number on them. And um, some of these blobs have like certain ways they're sitting, their facial expressions, and so if you're watching or if you're watching this, I want to know, which blob are you right now? It's been an interesting couple weeks with everything that's happening in the field of education, especially at the federal level, even at the state level, depending on where you live. So where are you in this on the blob tree? And I'm thinking about where I would be on the blob tree right now. So somewhere where I'm a little anxious because I'm doing something new, which is going live. I don't know if it works. I don't know if anyone's watching, which is totally fine. But also, I feel pretty comfortable. So maybe 15. So 15 is towards the top of the tree, and the blob is sitting on like not the top branch, but the one below it, and is hugging the tree, kind of like for safety, and then just waving at everyone like, "Hey." So that's kind of how I feel like, "Hey, I'm here. I don't know if anyone's watching, but that's totally fine because we're just trying things out here." All right. So where are you? I'm going to go back to see if anyone is here. If not, again, that's totally fine. It doesn't say anyone's here, um, but I don't know. Live stream. I'm just going to say, is anyone here? All right. Well, again, if not, it's totally fine. This is just a test run. Okay, so we talked about the Weeklyish. We did the blob tree. Um, apart from, okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about Department of Education. Um, so I'm going to keep sharing my screen because I want to test this feature out here. I think it's CNN. Here we go. CNN is, let me make sure I get the right. So CNN is reporting that the Trump administration is drafting an executive order to initiate the elimination of the Department of Education. How that really relates to us, we don't really know yet. I think that once the executive order comes out, we'll have a little bit more information. Um, what I do want to share is that it's almost a couple weeks ago now, um, we had a webinar called What's Next for IDEA. And that is up on YouTube right now for you to watch the webinar. I'm going to pull it up here on YouTube. What's next for IDEA? I had really fantastic guest, Dr. Jen Newton from Ohio University. Eric Garcia is a journalist from The Independent. Our CEO, Dr. Carolyn Tieglin, and myself, we had a great conversation about the implications of the changes that are going on at the federal level and what that means for IDEA and also IDEA funding. So please check that out if you are interested. And somehow maybe I'll put some links in the comments. I'm not exactly sure. Again, this is my first time going live, so we are just rolling with it. The other thing I wanted to share is that, apart from the information about the Department of Ed, there are certain things that are happening at the state level where state legislatures are proposing bills that have some implications for students with disabilities. And so I wanted to just bring those to your attention if you don't already know. If you're on social media, you may already know that. It's totally fine. Let's see if anyone's watching. So far, nobody. We are going to share the screen again, and let's see, where is Oklahoma? I think this is it right here. So something that you should know is about an Oklahoma state senator is calling for an IEP audit that could possibly cut special education services for some students. There's been a lot of pushback. It's Senate Bill 1017. A lot of people are talking about it. The senator says that it's a big misunderstanding, but if you are so inclined, you can check out the actual text of the bill. And so I'll try to link that somewhere. Again, not entirely sure how we're going to move forward with what the show notes look like, but I want to make sure you know about that. Also, there was something that happened in New Hampshire, and so I'm going to get back to, I'm going to close this out. Something that was happening in New Hampshire that our friend Michael McSheehan let us know about. Oh, it's gone. Let me see if I can find it again. Here's Michael. On New Hampshire House Bill 699, and I just want to read this to you. So I think that either the House bill has been defeated or it is in the process of becoming defeated. But something he posted a couple days ago that I thought was really interesting is that this House bill would have changed. It would have some significant policy changes, including the designation of educational environment, and it would restrict who could provide specialized instruction to special educators and related service providers. So that would mean that a child would have to leave the general education class to get services, which is, obviously, I mean, it feels like that is against the law, but again, the reason I wanted to bring this up, even though that this bill is probably defeated as we're recording this, I think that that's probably the update, is that it's really important for you to stay up on what's happening in your state regarding education and special education. It feels like there are more and more laws and changes trying to be done that affect students with disabilities and around IDEA. And one of the things, I'm going to stop sharing so I can see one of the things that's really interesting is that It seems like the current administration wants the accountability and the funding and everything to go to the states, um, as opposed to the federal government having the oversight. Um, and if that's the case, then it's very important to know what is happening at the state level regarding education. Um, I mean, it was always important, but I think especially now it's important. We don't know exactly the implications or the ramifications of dismantling of the Department of Education, but we know an executive order is coming, so it's just something to keep our eye on and to make sure that we are aware. Um, Let me check to see if anyone is around. Nope. Again, totally fine. The other thing is, I wanted to share a couple different podcast episodes that I think that you may be interested in. Um, Looking back at our catalog, we have a few episodes that explain equity and what equity means. There's been a lot of talk, especially with the executive order, about rooting out diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Not only in companies and workplaces and stuff like that, but also in our public schools. And so I we had a guest. His name is Mirko Chardin. He works for Novak Education, or at least he's a consultant with Novak Education. uh, Great interview. We talked about equity, and something that really always sticks out to me about something that he said about equity is that equity really just means learners getting what they need. And I think it was in the context of, equity is such a charged word. Even this was like a couple of years ago, it was a charged word. Um, how do we move forward? Because you know we're not saying equity to be controversial or anything like that. It's just, we just want kids to have what they need to succeed in school. And sometimes a student is going to have to receive more to be able uh, to succeed than the other person. um, and just that's just because that's just the way that our system works. If you think about multi-tiered systems of support, right? Everyone gets universal core instruction, but then some kids are going to need more, and that more is part of that equity discussion. So that is, and I'm going to share my screen so that you have a visual of that. That is right here. Mirko Chardin, reclaiming the narrative around educational equity. So that's in season 10. Definitely check that out. Also, uh, apart from the What's Next for Idea, there is an episode I did. This was in 2022, and it's called What Inclusionists Need to Know About the Anti-CRT Movement. And if you remember way, way back in 2022, I'm going to share my screen again. Um, where is it? Here we go. Way back in 2022, there was a whole thing about critical race theory and how it was infiltrating our public schools, and which is really interesting. And I share a story of somebody that through our work I knew a principal in Maryland, and that principal in Maryland was moving down to Georgia and got a job as the diversity, equity, and inclusion director in a local school district that's close to us, the Cherokee County Public Schools. And because of all of this talk about CRT and how it was infiltrating our schools, that person got resigned from that position because it just was such a hotly contested position. trying to figure out what that noise is. I think it's just a plane. Um, and so I tell that story because I think what happened then, and what we're seeing now, is that a lot of this anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion um, mindset, and it mirrors the anti-CRT movement, from a couple of years ago. Uh, it really is intentionally or unintentionally um, causing waves in the disability community. And I think that we saw that, last week or 2 weeks ago, with certain comments that were made that linked, disability and this DEI, this DEI criticism. So just something to think about. This is one of my favorite episodes, so we'll definitely check that out. I interview four different people: Eddie Fergus from Temple, Alita Miranda Wolf, who is diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging consultant; King Williams, who is here in Atlanta. He's a journalist and a filmmaker; and Pete Newlove, who is in Denver, Colorado. Okay, let's stop sharing. Let's see, how long have I been talking? Only 20 minutes. All right, still no one's here, which is fine. I'll have to figure out if I even went live, so we'll see. All right. What else do I want to say? Let's go back to my notes. Oh, yes. Okay, so preview. Let's do a preview. So this week on Thursday, today is Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. On Thursday, our episode drops with Sam Drazen from Changing Perspectives. It's going to be a great conversation. Make sure to look out into your podcast feeds for that. And then next week, I have a special guest. I'm not ready to share who that guest is, but I am recording that episode this week, and it will be a special episode drop early next week. It's going to be about news about the Department of Education, not necessarily news, but at least analysis of where we are with the Department of Education and how it's going to affect IDEA. And then, we're really like we're concerned about IDEA, of course, but also just how it relates and affects the authentic, inclusive education movement that we would like to see, in our public schools. Um, so that is that, and I think that is all I have for you. So 20-ish minutes. We chatted. I didn't see anyone in the chat. I don't see anyone watching. But that's totally fine because this was a test, and next time I will let you know this happens. All right. It was great hanging out. Whoever is will eventually watch this, and I will catch you later. All right. Bye.